What's up guys, I'm Chris and today you're watching a magic review on the 3-body game by Classicho. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed, please do if you're into these kinds of videos because there have been a lot and there should be a lot more. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and comment with any questions or anything you'd like to say just down in the comments below. Also, don't forget to join the Chris Edwards Magic Secret Access group over on Facebook. Has some good topics, good discussion there, as well as links to unlisted videos, which are more in-depth videos that typically contain exposure, and I will not show that publicly on the channel. So with those, you need a specific link to see the videos. That's a safe place to do so. All right, so before we get into what this is, what is Classicho? So Classicho is a new sub-brand of TCC Magic. They are taking classics of Magic and producing them in a professional, elegant manner, putting their own twist on things and providing some presentations and routines. So what is the 3-body game? So basically this is, I gotta watch what I say here and I can't show everything either because that would be exposure. But the 3-body game is a classic in Magic. I actually hadn't heard it under that name before, but essentially you are showing some balls in a box, dumping them out. The balls are vanished. Depending on the performance that you want to do, they can reappear, as you've seen in the trailer if you've watched that, and I would recommend watching it. I was going to do a performance video, but honestly I just haven't had the time to practice and give this justice, right? It does work, everything's great. I have to get this out soon because it's on Kickstarter right now, and if I don't get it out soon enough, the Kickstarter is going to end and this will go up in price. So I need to get the review out so that you guys can get a better price on it if this is for you. So go check out the trailer, but basically you have a box with 3 balls. You vanish the balls and they appear back in the box. In the trailer, they did a number of different phases to kind of add more magic to the routine, but essentially what this does is allows the balls to reappear back in the box. Now, this uses a well-known principle when it comes to illusion props, right? So you probably have guessed what it is if you're not a layperson and you have experience in Magic in a larger setting. There are versions of close-up, but anyway. So what they've done with this is they have come up with a way where you can show this very, very cleanly because of its size. Because of its size, you can do something that you wouldn't be able to do with a box similar to this, but bigger. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to be discreet here. The engineering and thought that went into this design and then making it happen and work the way that it does is extremely impressive. Once I got a hold of this and found out how it worked and actually used it, I was super impressed. So inside the box, I cannot show you everything. It wouldn't be right. That would, like I said, be exposure. You are going to get a drawer. You're going to get the, I guess, not a shell as in what we normally think of that word, but it's basically a shell. It's the outside of the box. You'll also get 7 of these rubber balls, and then you will get this nice silk. What the silk is for, you're actually going to get 2 of these outside boxes, and the silk allows you to do a very deceptive and extremely easy, pretty much 0 sleight of hand switch if you want to do a switch. Now, like I said, because of the way that this is designed, you can perform all the same routines without a switch, still keeping everything very fair, very open, and completely hidden, which is something that you can't do with other props of this sort. Okay, so they have really thought about the design and the engineering that went into this. Okay, so the quality. Now, I can only show you parts of it, but you can see that it looks good, it's well made, it's well designed. Okay, I can't really show too much more than that, but it's very well put together. Okay, the balls are just rubber red balls. There was thought put into that because in the history that they talk about in the tutorial, they had tried this with different size balls and pieces, and it just didn't work. So I think they actually put a stop on this, and it ended up being like a 3-year process. So now what you are getting is extremely good. It works extremely well, and it is very, very well made. I can also show you the shell because there's nothing gimmicked there. It's wood, right? But it's good. So I'm not going to say too much on the performances or the routines, because essentially out of the 3 that are on the tutorial, the first 2 are the same, one's with a switch and one's without. So the only difference there, you're going to see the mechanics behind that, either switching or not switching. The third routine is also similar. They've just added more phases. So I would just recommend going and watching the trailer, because that's going to give you the best version of this. Okay, it's going to look the best. It's going to be a lot better than what I could have done in this amount of time. And I mean, essentially, this is just a prop, and you can do with it what you want. So you can add as many faces as you want, vanishes, reappearances. They do one like the sponge balls, 2 in the hand, 1 in the pocket, 3 end up back in the hand. So they kind of incorporate different elements into the overall routine. Difficulty level. So it's easy to use. It does take a little bit of practice just to get the handling down right, because this is different than versions that you have used before if you've used something like this, right? So there's just a bit to get used to there. But overall, because of how this is made and the size of it, it's all really easy to do once you've kind of played around with it for a bit. Now, if you're going to go out and perform this for people, I would take some time to really practice this, which is why I haven't included a performance for you, because at this point I would probably just be giving stuff away. Ultimately, the difficulty will lie on the amount of sleight of hand that you want to use. So with balls vanishing and reappearing, there's obviously some sleight of hand there, right? There's easier ways to do it, and there's more difficult ways to do it. So it's all going to be dependent on how much sleight of hand you want to use and what type of routine you want to present with this. Angles. Okay, so like I said, there's 2 different ways of doing this. If you're using a switch, then there are no angle issues that you got to worry about. The switch that they teach uses this silk, and it's very good. Okay, it's super deceptive, super easy. If you don't want to use a switch, you absolutely do not have to. It is very easy to conceal everything that you need to, as long as your audience isn't directly behind you. Then it becomes a little bit harder, but for what this isn't something that you're going to be strolling around doing, right? Chances are you're going to be stationary with your audience or spectators in front of you, maybe a little bit off to the side. That's not an issue, but directly behind you, not so good. Again, because of the size, this can still be pretty much completely hidden, and the only time that you need to conceal anything is it's maybe for like seconds, and then after that you don't have to worry at all about anything. So the angles are really good. If you are worried about angles, then just do the switch. Setup and reset. So I guess there is a little bit of setup. I mean, you can't do it in front of people, but the setup literally takes 2-3 seconds, and that's same with the reset, right? But I don't think that this is going to be something you're going to use in an environment or situation where you're going to be resetting. It is small enough where you could carry it around if you do table hopping, but I don't think that there's really a place for this in that type of setting. But essentially, there's only going to be one time setup that you're going to have to do per performance, and it's very quick. There are no arts and crafts. This is basically ready to use out of the box. You don't have to put anything together, but I'd say this is definitely one of those things where you need to watch the tutorial to really understand it. Can it be inspected or examined? I'm going to say no. Like I said, even if you do a switch, there's still parts that can't be examined. Okay, so because of how this was designed, it works extremely well. It's super visual and very, very clean, but because of that as well, this can't be examined. You're probably going to be doing this in a close-up setting, not a setting where people are going to be trying to grab at your stuff saying, let me see that and whatnot. I find you get that a lot if you're doing strolling or table hopping. Then you get people maybe who want to examine things. But if you're in a stationary setting doing a show of some sort, or where you're performing in front of kind of an audience, I don't really feel like that's something where you have to worry about people wanting to examine your stuff. That's just me. Pocket space, you definitely could carry this in your pocket, but like I said, I don't think this is something you're going to carry around and perform. I think this is something that's more of a planned kind of situated setting. Is it a worker? So honestly, this is the best version I've seen of anything like this. For all sorts of reasons. And, you know, if I'm going to perform something of this nature, right? So when you think of 3 balls disappearing and reappearing, you have all sorts of different presentations under the sun, whether you're doing sponge balls, cups and balls, chop cup, something like this, right? I think this version, obviously if you're using sponge balls, that stuff is powerful because it can happen in the hands. But if you're doing if you're doing a visual performance for somebody where they aren't interacting with you or participating, then I'd say that this is a super good version because it looks so good. So as far as, is it a worker, I would say that you're going to use this in a close-up setting, like a close-up show. I don't really know if you'd use it anywhere else. So if you work in that type of environment or setting, this is definitely something that I think you would consider putting into your close-up set for sure. So what's the price and is it worth your money? Okay, so this is the same price as the Kirin dice, and this is also on Kickstarter right now. So there are 3 different rewards on the Kickstarter. There's the dice, there's the prediction box, and there's this. This one is currently $60 on Kickstarter. So if this is something that you like the look of or something that you think you're going to perform, I would definitely go and purchase it now on Kickstarter. $60 on there. Otherwise, it's going to retail for $100 later on. Is it worth the price? Honestly, for the amount of work that went into making this work, not just thinking it through and coming up with it, but if you get your hands on this and actually get to see the things that I'm seeing that I can't show on here because it would be exposing too much, I think you will agree that this is definitely worth the price. There's no other version that I know like this where you can do this as clean as this is and to where the workings are as intricate and complex as this. Now, with that said, it's not a bunch of different pieces where things can break or fall apart. Like, there's nothing on this that can break. Okay, I should have mentioned that in the quality. What I mean is just the workings of this overall, just the materials used and the quality of this. I think this is a good price, whether you're getting it on Kickstarter for the discounted price or even at retail. Positives and negatives. Yeah, I don't want to continue to repeat how clean this is, how simple this is, and how good everything about it is, right? But I have to, because those are all pros. Negatives, I don't know. I thought for a little bit there I'm gonna actually edit out that long Long bit of silence because I'm trying to think what can be a negative here. I mean, I guess there's the fact that it can't be inspected, sure, but I don't know if it was something that could be examined. Honestly, it wouldn't work as good as this does, and this can't be seen up close from every angle. There's nothing that would expose anything from any side once you're past the initial phase of concealing something, but it's just because there are parts on this that make it work the way it does. I wouldn't want somebody looking at a certain area for too long up close. But I guess that kind of falls under examination and the reason why you can't. So with that said, I guess that might be a negative for some people, but I mean, I'd rather have this work the way it does than be able to hand it out and say, check it out, right? If you're a magician, this is not an everyday ordinary prop. Nobody should need to look at it. All right, I think that's all I can say about this. I wish I could give you guys a better look because the quality really is phenomenal. But I can't because there's too many different elements of this that could give things away if I'm showing them up on a camera. None of this is anything I would worry about in a performance setting, right? But because it's on video, that's why I don't want to show too much. If you have any questions about certain things, like I said, join the Facebook group. Ask me about it on there, and I will definitely give you maybe a more in-depth kind of answer or tell you more than I can on here. So with that said, I think that's all I can cover on here, but I do love this. I do highly, highly recommend it. I think that this is such a good piece of magic and super strong. So with that, we'll see you at the next review.